Okay, I just woke up and saw this message that someone wrote, this comment that someone wrote on my video, White Privilege. And so, first of all, thank you for this message. Thank you for this comment. Thank you, because I'm really glad that we can start a dialogue, and that I'm not like, here talking on my own, almost on my own, because I don't have a lot of subscribers, and it felt a bit stupid to say this and not have any response, as most of my videos don't have a lot of responses. So thank you for this, and I'm going to read your message because I think that that's very important, what you have just said, and then I will reply to you, telling you what I have done until now and what I'm doing, okay? So, if anybody feels obligated about their white privilege, just surrender it. Take half the money out of your bank account, drive to a black neighborhood, throw the cash out of the window. It will be used and appreciated. Then leave your apartment, move to a black neighborhood, and use your the rent to bail your neighbors out of jail when they're unjustly arrested. I think that's fantastic, because this is a call to action. Like, don't stay there looking only at your shit and do something about it. Okay. I will tell you what I've been doing for most of my life, and perhaps if you want, you can see my autobiography. I've been an addict and a prostitute in my teens. I've recovered, and I've never had a fixed job, a stable job, and I have suffered always from lack of money. So I'm a freelance artist, and although I have been struggling and to make ends meet, always, I have managed to get a PhD even without having a degree, because of my research, my independent research. I've done everything on my own. And I've never had any, I've never bought a house. I have an old car. I actually live in Switzerland. Yeah, I live in Switzerland, but since 2 years, because I'm originally Spanish. I've been moving to Italy, and then back to Spain, and then lately to Switzerland, because I had no work, I had no money, and I had a Swiss passport because I had married a Swiss man many years ago. And then I thought, well, the Swiss government is the only one, perhaps, that's going to protect me. Okay. And in fact, this happened, because as soon as I arrived, I broke my shoulder, and they paid for my life for several months. So that was very useful. In my area, there are no black neighborhoods as such, but in my area, I live in the 2 blocks that are dedicated to poorer people, and a lot of them, not a lot, not half, because in this area there is no so much black people. I mean BIPOC. BIPOC, you say black, indigenous, or people of color. So, but there are quite a lot of them anyway, and so in these 2 blocks. So I live in one of these 2 blocks because they are the cheapest apartments. Yeah. Now, I have recently donated, not a lot, but what I could to Black Lives Matter, and I receive constantly their emails. So as I said, I don't have a fixed job, so and I don't have a lot of money in the bank. I don't have savings. I've never been able to save money. Right now I'm having some aid from the Swiss government for the coronavirus lack of work, although I'm doing my best to work online, and I'm doing quite well, but it's always enough to pay the rent, and to pay my expenses, and to save just a little bit for the next months, because I'm not going, I don't know what's going to come. Yeah. In the past, I'm going to continue telling you what I have done for the Black cause, But before that, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say that what I'm doing here is something that I feel it's precious. Precisely this dialogue between you and me, and perhaps those who want to listen. This is a precious dialogue. And what I'm doing is that I am letting out my shit in terms of I'm going to try, because I'm following this book, Me and White Supremacy, so I'm going to study all those ways, these subtle ways, because I've always said that I'm not a racist, and you'll hear about other things that I've done, but nevertheless, I think that racists won't do that, won't do what I'm doing. So I think that somebody has to do this, like to open really up and do this work that this book proposes openly and publicly, so that we can establish this dialogue. I think that that is precious. First of all, because I hope that I'm going to encourage other white people to do likewise, and yeah, because I'm trying, because there are some people who follow me. So those who follow me perhaps are going to gain some consciousness about how they have used their white privilege, and how even their thoughts, or in the relationship with some people of color, they might have confirmed their white privilege, or felt superior, or felt, so these subtle things, this is what I think I can do. But nevertheless, I will continue telling you other things that I have done throughout my life towards the cause of all those stigmatized, because I have worked in prisons. I have worked in prisons with more than 400 inmates in Spain, in Switzerland, in Italy, and in Norway. In one of these times that I worked in prison, in prison there were people who had done drugs, who have, but there were a lot of people. So in prison there was more or less, in Spain, I'm talking about Spain right now. In Spain there was more or less half people were Spanish, and half were BIPOC, were black, indigenous, or people of color. And that, if you look at Spanish population, that's not, they're not half and half. So, but in prison, yes, which I know it happens the same in America, or probably more. In Norway, there were more people of color than Norwegians, but there were quite some Norwegians anyway. Anyway, once I worked in Spain, so there was one black man who did an amazing self-portrait. So what I do, in case you don't know, because my channel is full of all these, I'm a self-portrait facilitator. So I use art, I use photography and the self-portrait, so that people will express their emotions and transform them into art, and then look at them and feel them and share them with others. So it's a way to share emotions and needs and create connection between people. This is my work. So even the purpose of these videos is creating connection between people through precisely these expression of emotions and needs. And I will illustrate this video with a lot of pictures that people of color have done in my workshops, so that you can understand, but also with other people who are white as well, and who are stigmatized for many other reasons. I've always worked in companies with leaders, because I feel that that if we all look at ourselves, at our emotions and our authentic needs, then we will become more human, Because in fact, power and money and power over the others, that is not an authentic need. That is a substitute. It's a substitute for other needs that are not being met. So my intention with my work is to encourage people to express and share their authentic emotions and authentic needs, so that we can all, sort of descend to a more human level, and there, in this human level, that's where the connections happen. Yeah. So so this time that this man Demba took this picture, and he did this individual session, and just after the session he asked me, what are you going to do with the pictures? And I told him, well, I'm not going to publish them. I'm not going to show them to anybody if you don't want to. So you are in the picture, so you decide whether you're going to show them to the group and whether you want to be part of the project to publish them. Because that publication would mean, it's a work for the reduction of stigma. So he did this session, and we worked on the emotions in this picture, and then he said, well, I'll think about it, whether to publish it or not. Yeah. And then when the group was there, when the group gathered, there was, all the whites were on one side sitting together, and all the others were on the other side. And I noticed this. And we were working, so I would say to the group, who wants to share the pictures? So at a certain point, Denba, after he had seen what we were doing with the pictures, that we were just, we were sharing, we were studying all the possible different perceptions of the images, and saying that no perception will label anyone, but it's because what we see in a picture is also ours, is 50% the picture, but 50% our life experiences. So we will say something that belongs to us. So we discuss all these different perceptions. Yeah. So when at a certain point Denba said, I want to show my pictures to the group. So we showed his picture, and we chose this wonderful picture, and everybody was saying what they saw, the emotions, the thoughts, and everything. And then nobody ever said that this is a black man. And I found that weird, that nobody even said it, yeah? Because I think, well, that is a taboo. So what I did was, I said, nobody has said that this is a black man, but this is my first thought, because he's different than me, and what I see, and it's my first thought because I have been partner of an African man, a Senegalese man, and I have a half black daughter, a mulatto daughter. So so my first thought is that I see the first of all I see the difference, but in this picture I said, I see a black man who is telling me, you have no idea of what it means to be black. You have no idea of what it means to be in a white country and to face the whites, and our ancestors were slaves of the white. You have no idea what this means. Yeah. So I said that's what I perceived. And that's true, because his way of looking, I imagine he's looking at me and he's telling me all these things. And then what happened when I said that is that there was sort of talks between inmates, and one white inmate, who was a quite nice guy, he said quite innocently, he said to Demba, but Demba, can I ask you something? Would you like to become white, like Michael Jackson? And Demba stood up and he said, if sometime my child told me that he wanted to become white, like Michael Jackson, I would kill him, he said. And he sat down again. And then the white guy was like, hey, I didn't want to hurt you, I didn't want to, but, you know, and they all started talking and talking out loud, and it became quite hot. But at the same time, they were, you know, you would see the whites getting together with the non-white, and it was really interesting because after that, the rest of the other times that the group gathered, they were all mixed up. And Demba and that white guy, they became friends. And then, at the end of the group work, Demba came to me and he said, you can publish my pictures, even on TV, everywhere. And I said, thank you, Demba, I will do. So I feel that you know, by communicating, I feel I'm a communicator, and I feel that when you communicate, when you talk about these taboos that make you uncomfortable, then you have the first step towards the dialogue and towards the equality, like towards being equal, towards, yeah, that's a whole point. Now, you know, when I work in prisons, I always tell my story about the drugs and the prostitution, and I always say that I have been very lucky because my family used to have some money, not a lot, but some money, and enough culture to tell me about psychotherapy, and that was the way that I could get out of drugs, because otherwise, if my family would have been that, like 90% of the families of people who are in prison, probably I wouldn't have been able to get out of drugs. Yeah. So I am privileged, and I say that every time that I go to prison. This is one of the things, anyway, in my private life, as I said, at a certain point in the year 2000, I met a Senegalese man, and I fell in love, and I became pregnant quite quickly, and my partner was afraid of having a child, because he said, I cannot afford having a child. And I said, don't worry, I will take care of that. And I did take care of that for my whole life. And of course, when he was able to give something, like he gave something, but he was very poor. I know that many times I have perhaps used my white privilege to, when talking, or when at a certain point when I felt that the relationship didn't happen, and therefore I told him to leave, and that was, I mean, I should have talked about it and not, you know, and I know that that was that was racist in the end. It was not taking into account what the social situation and the social his lack of opportunities and his lack of money and of yeah, and that was very bad. That was very bad. Yeah. I don't know if I can, I mean, I could continue to tell you other good things that I've done, but I feel a bit pathetic about that. And because even for a little thing I can feel guilty, and that's why I'm using these feelings to share them and to open the discussion. So yeah, I mean, but anyhow, I think, thank you anyway, because I know that what you have done was telling me to take action. And I think, I truly believe that, you know, during the pandemic, I was thinking, well, this can be an opportunity to build a better world. And now with all this, like, there are specific actions that we all should take. It's not like I'm going to say, well, it's other people, the rich people, who should be doing that. But I think that it's very important that I start in my own little possibilities to take that action. And, you know, I was thinking, well, if there was a black neighborhood around here in Switzerland, I would actually like to move to a black neighborhood. It like, you know, because I have felt marginalized as well, and I have felt, yeah, and here in Switzerland there are all these people with these big cars and everything, and I would feel much better in a black neighborhood. And actually, well, here in these 2 blocks, we don't have much contact actually. So what you're telling me suggests and makes me think that I would like to be in contact with the black people who are around here, the black and the non-white people who are in these 2 blocks, because I usually, like, I don't have much connection with people. I'm quite shy, and therefore, but why not? That would be a very good thing to do, actually. That would be a very good thing to do. So thank you again for allowing this discussion, and I really hope that you managed to see this video, and please respond, and I really hope that together we can start this dialogue, and yeah, and that this is going to inspire other people to do likewise. So thanks again, and Black Lives Matter. Yeah.